Ken Griffey Jr. was one of the most physically gifted players to ever step onto a big league diamond. He didn't need to juice. Neither did Barry Bonds, but Bonds, also the son of a major leaguer, took a different path, whereas Jr. refused to inject synthetic hormones into his body. Much of Jr.'s career must be seen from this context. His peers, McGwire, Sosa, ARod, Bonds, Clemens, and on, resorted to artificial means to boost their careers. None of them are in the Hall of Fame, but Ken Griffey Jr. is. His career was remarkable, except there will always be a question mark attached to it. What if? What if he had stayed healthy? What kind of numbers could have been put up if he played in 150 games per season? Because no teenager, not Mel Ott, not Bryce Harper, had as much pure talent as Jr. when he broke in at 19 with the Mariners. If you go by WAR alone, the numbers say Harper had the best year, but he didn't have Jr. speed or defensive ability. Jr. was supposed to be the best all-around player, even better than Willie Mays. Didn't happen. Mays ended up with the WAR of 156.2, third best of position players unless you cross out Bonds, while Jr. had a WAR of 83.8, which put him at 58th best. But don't be misled, Jr. was the youngest player to reach 350 homers. Then ARod broke that record. The same with 400 homers, another Griffey record that ARod took over. ARod, of course, was doping, and it cost him a year's suspension in 2014. A dark cloud will forever hang over his lifetime numbers. When Jr. hit his 400th career homer, he was just 30 years old. Reaching 800 seemed within reach. Instead, he clocked in at 630 homers, 7th best all time. Fate betrayed Jr. in many ways. He played in an age when he was clean and others weren't. He had to endure a league-wide strike that might have cost him a shot at baseball immortality.
For the first time since 1904, no World Series, Brendan.
He played many games on turf, which studies have shown have shortened athletic careers. Now just 5 stadiums have artificial grass. When Jr. broke in, 40% of MLB games were played on fake grass. So, just how good was Ken Griffey Jr. actually? Ken Griffey Sr. grew up in Donora, Pennsylvania, best known for being the hometown of all-time great Stan Musial, who, like Jr., was elected in the Hall of Fame. Jr. was also born there. So that's 2 legends born in the same small town of 5,000 people and who share the same birthday, November 21st. Statistically, that's insane. Almost spooky. When Sr. broke out with the Reds in 1973, Jr. was just 3 years old. Thus began Jr.'s experience of the big league life. He was in the locker room during the Big Red Machine's World Series run in 1975 and 1976. Jr. grew up around the game, watching and learning and repeating what he'd seen from the game's best. Not just his dad, but Joe Morgan, Pete Rose, and Johnny Bench. Jr. didn't attend high school in Donora, but in Cincy, at one of the most distinguished high schools in the country, Archbishop Moeller, a school that played for national championships and produced not just D1 talent, but all-time greats. Example, Barry Larkin attended Moeller before going to Michigan and then to the Reds and then into Cooperstown in 2012. And you're thinking Jr. starred for 4 years on the varsity baseball team. But Jr. played just 2 seasons at Moeller, his junior and senior years. The reason? He wanted to spend spring training with his father in Tampa when he played for the Yankees. During his 2 years at Moeller, Griffey hit 17 homers with a batting average of .478. Many of the fields lacked fences, and often opposing teams would line up with their outfielders beyond the light poles. In one game, Lee May Jr. caught 3 bombs that would have been homers had there been fences. Mostly, pitchers didn't give him anything to hit. Didn't matter. Scouts saw Jr. hit baseballs over trees, with a swing that seemed designed by Ted Williams. Whenever his dad came to see his son play, Jr. would often strike out. But that often hints that there's something brewing beneath the surface. When Jr. was a teen, there was heat between father and son. The Seattle Mariners had the first pick in the 1987 draft, and they were very sus about taking a high school player, especially with the 1-1 pick. The year before, the M's had selected high schooler Pat Lennon 8th overall, and he was 6'2", 200 pounds. A big power-hitting outfielder whose MLB career lasted 91 games with a negative .5 WAR. Junior was 6'3", 195, and also a power-hitting outfielder. Given his swing, his athleticism, and his genes, how could there have been any doubt? Because of the results of a psychological test the M's gave its prospects. It was intended to predict future behavior and character, and Griffey's results were the worst they'd ever seen. The M's were worried they'd get burned for a second time. Since Griffey wanted to be pick number 1, he agreed to take the test again, and his score came back average. But to ink the deal, Griffey agreed to sign for $160,000 less than he would have gotten, promising his agent he'd make it up on the back end of his career. But he almost didn't have a career. If you could pick any teen in 1987 who would seem the least likely to suffer from depression, you would pick Ken Griffey Jr. But appearances can often be deceiving. Even though Jr. is known for his megawatt smile, it hid some darkness. He later explained, "It seemed like everyone was yelling at me in baseball. Then I came home and everyone was yelling at me there. I got depressed. I got angry. I didn't want to live." Junior was still 17 when he started his professional career, and he was thrown to the wolves of the adult world. On the field, he clubbed 14 homers in 54 games with a .313 average. Off the field, he had run-ins, including one involving the sons of a bus driver. But when he returned home, the tensions in the family remained. Sowing his wild oats, he'd stay out all night and worry his mother. His father told him to find his own place to live. The conflicts became too much for Junior, and in January 1988, he swallowed 277 aspirins and wound up in extensive care. Even there, after a suicide attempt, father and son continued to argue. When Junior got out of the hospital, he found his own place to live. The next season, now 18, he spent 58 games in High A, hitting .338 with 11 homers and 42 RBIs. That got him promoted to Double A for the last 17 games he'd play in the minors. In 1989, Ken Griffey Jr. had the kind of spring training that makes a front office think long and hard. Being just 19, he was slotted for Triple A, but Jr. had other ideas. Based on the numbers, the M's could not have left Jr. off the team coming out of spring training. In Arizona, he hit in 15 straight games, leading to a batting average of .358. He also drove in 20 runs on 32 hits. He was penciled in as the M's starting center fielder. When he ran onto the diamond for his debut, MLB history was made because for the first time, a father and son were playing both at the same time, though on different teams, at least for the time being. His first at-bat came against Dave Stewart on the A's, one of the best pitchers in the game. Junior wasn't fazed and knocked a double into left center. A week later, he hit his first bomb on the first swing he ever took at the Kingdome. Rookie of the Year seemed to be his for the snatching. By late July, he was hitting .287 with 13 homers and 45 RBIs. But then stranger things started to happen. He broke his hand during a road trip in Chicago. At first, it was reported that Junior had slipped coming out of the shower. Sure, kinda makes sense. Then, more of the onion got peeled away. Turns out, he'd broken his hand when he slammed it against the wall while arguing with his girlfriend during a phone call. Griffey missed a month, and when he came back, he wasn't the same player. When September came, Junior hit a wall. He hit 1 homer for the month and saw his average tumble down to .264. The drop-off caused Junior to finish 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting. Junior needed guidance, a steadying influence who could keep him in check. Luckily, there was someone who fit that job description. When the 1990 season started, Ken Griffey Sr. was 40 years old and playing for his original team, the Cincinnati Reds. He seemed to be nearing the end of his career. He was hitting .206 with an OPS plus of 40, which matched his age. In other words, he was one step away from getting DFA'd. His son, however, was turning into must-see TV. He was becoming the best all-around player in the big leagues, as many predicted. He'd slash .322.80. His batting average on balls put in play was .315, one of the best of his career, and he fanned only 81 times, showing great plate discipline for such a young hitter. He'd make his first All-Star team and win his first Gold Glove. He made incredible plays, like when he robbed Jesse Barfield of the home run in Yankee Stadium, using the wall to spring himself up. Ironically, his father was in the stands that game, sitting next to Barfield's wife. Senior rarely got to see his son play, and he figured that once the Reds cut him, he could spend more time just being a dad, by playing on the same team. That seemed impossible, but fairy tales sometimes come true. When the Reds released Senior in August, the M's picked him up, maybe for no other reason than to keep an eye on Junior. On August 31st, they became the first father-son duo to play in a game on the same team. But on September 14th, they took it one step further, creating a moment worthy of a Hallmark Channel tearjerker. They hit back-to-back homers, a feat that will never be matched in MLB history. Senior hit his first and later said, "I knew Junior would be thinking home run. I could see in his eyes when I crossed the plate." They ended up playing 21 games together that season, and Senior seemed to find a higher gear playing with his son, putting up a batting average of .377 and 18 RBIs with the M's. But he assisted the team in other ways too. A clubhouse aide explained Junior toned down when Senior got there. He went from a brash and outspoken kid to someone more respectful of elders. He really quieted down a lot. But you only get one bite of that apple. The next season, 1991, they tried to keep the family affair going for 30 games. It would be Senior's farewell, and Junior seemed to have a hard time digesting that the end was near. His numbers excelled. He'd end the year with a .327 average to go with 22 homers and 100 RBIs. Good for an OPS plus of 155, which is otherworldly. But there were grumbles about Junior's effort, especially on defense. It made no sense. Junior did things in center field that only a few others have ever done. But wise men like teammate Harold Reynolds saw a cloud hanging over Junior. The bottom line, it didn't seem like he was having fun playing the game. The two talked, and Junior came out of the second half with a new attitude. He hit .373 with 13 homers and 64 RBIs. He'd finished the season with a WAR of 7.1, third best for position players. Even as the entire league sank into a sewer of syringes, Junior stayed clean. He saw what was happening, like everyone involved with MLB did at the time. He remained true to the game. In 1996, a record 17 players hit more than 40 homers, and probably half were juicing, maybe more. But not Junior. He hit 49 homers, third behind two cheaters, McGwire and Brady Anderson. But Junior was just living up to the Willie Mays comp. He could make defensive plays that rank among the best ever. It will be shown over and over for decades, like Willie Mays and Roberto Clemente. Junior won 10 straight Gold Gloves playing center field, often putting his body at risk. In 1995, he made the incredible Spider-Man catch by robbing Kevin Bass in the Kingdome, a play that defies belief because Junior was a big man at 6'3", 195. On the play, Junior broke his wrist and missed 73 games. He could rob hitters off home runs by making plays that no one else had ever made, such as this gem when he took away a bomb from Luis Gonzalez at Tiger Stadium in 1998. Perhaps no one in MLB history has made as many circus catches at the wall, plays where timing, speed, leaping ability, and lack of fear all combined to create an everlasting montage of athletic grace. When he played, MLB didn't have StatCast, so we don't know how many low probability catches he made. We do know that he made the extraordinary seem routine. Griffey could also win big games with his wheels, like when he scored from first in the 1995 ALDS against the Yankees. But we need to back up, way back, because Junior hated the Yankees with the passion. As a kid, he'd been kicked out of Yankee Stadium for running around too much with the other children of players. That burned bitterness into his heart forever. Hence, Junior seemed to enjoy tormenting the Yankees. In 1995, the M's were in the middle of the race for a wild card, and in a game on August 24th, they trailed the Yankees 7-6 in the bottom of the ninth. The M's tied it on a Joey Cora single, and then Griffey came up with one on, and then blasted a homer off closer John Wetland to win for Seattle. A few weeks later, he had another walk-off against the Rangers. Mind you, he just missed 73 games with a broken wrist. The team fed off of Junior's greatness and went on a tear to win the division, setting up a slugfest in the ALDS against the Yankees. In the best-of-5 series, Griffey tied a record with 5 homers, all of them in key moments. He broke a tie in Game 4 with a homer, and then hit another in Game 5 to bring the M's within 1. But he won Game 5 because he could score from first on a double, which lots of players can do. Except Edgar Martinez hit a double to left, which is much harder to do, and it was the bottom of the ninth and the M's were trailing by a run. If Griffey didn't score, the M's season would end. In 1993, he made a run at one of the most difficult records in baseball, homering in consecutive games. Only 2 players have reached 8 straight, Don Mattingly and Dale Long. Then Junior got to work. He started in Yankee Stadium, of course, and then continued in Cleveland to reach 6 straight. Back home against the Twins, he hit a grand slam for 7 straight, and then a solo shot off Willie Banks for 8. He'd tied the record. Now he was poised to break it. The whole world was watching, and every at-bat was shown on ESPN. Scott Erickson and his .550 ERA took the bump for the Twins, and so Junior had a decent shot at 9 straight. He went 2-4 with a double, and the streak ended. Junior's response? He wasn't really paying attention. He was just trying to use the whole field. He was revving in 1994 to set more records. The one most in danger was Roger Maris's hallowed mark of 61. Junior hit the required check marks. On June 17th, he hit his 30th, tying Babe Ruth for the most homers before July 1st. Except, Junior hit 2 more to set the record. On August 11th, Griffey crushed his 40th homer, a grand slam putting him within striking distance of Maris. But there was another strike looming. MLB owners wanted a salary cap, and the players' union was having none of it. The 2 sides couldn't agree, and so on August 12th, the players walked out. The rest of the regular season and the World Series canceled. Also a casualty, Griffey shot at baseball immortality. It was a cruel blow, robbing fans of a definitive answer to the question, could Junior have done it? In 1997, Griffey took another shot at Maris, setting a record for 12 homers in the month of April. He'd finished with 56 homers and 147 RBIs, winning his one and only MVP award. Wait, what? Only one MVP for Junior? Yup, he'd led all of baseball in 1996 with a WAR of 9.7 and finished 4th. The winner? Juan Igor Gonzalez, who denied ever taking steroids even after PEDs were discovered in his luggage. In 1998, McGwire and Sosa pretended to be feel-good stories while they bashed homers fueled by PEDs. Junior stayed close to them the entire season, finishing with another 56 homers, all clean. But no one noticed, because the McGwire-Sosa bromance was all anyone cared about. Drowned out by the hoopla was one of the greatest stretches of baseball the world had ever seen. Real baseball, not the synthetic version. Between 1996 and 1999, Junior averaged 52.3 homers and 141.8 RBIs, while winning a Gold Glove each year. Yet, those seasons coincided with peak roids, and so he came out with 1 MVP trophy and not 4. But after 1999, Junior's career took a different turn. In the offseason, he rejected the M's offer of 8 years, $135 million so that he could be traded closer to his Orlando home. His final destination was Cincinnati. The deal was complete before the 2000 season, and at the age of 30, Junior returned home to his team his dad played for. But as the novelist Thomas Wolfe wrote, you can't go home again. When Junior departed for the Queen City, he was at the top of his powers. He was beloved, admired, and praised as one of the game's best. He had been the youngest player to hit 350 and eventually the youngest to 400. When baseball's PED problems began to surface around this time, Junior remained unscathed, and he or ARod would cleanse the sins of Andro from the show. But Junior's body started breaking down, and the magical return to Cincy ended up being a major bummer. The Reds had won 96 games the year before Griffey's arrival, but in 2000, they won just 85. Junior played in 145 games and hit 40 homers and drove in 118. But that would be the best year in his Reds uniform. It was all descent from then on. Still, Junior could conjure up some drama. His 400th homer came on his dad's birthday. But there are very few moments like that one. Why? A ferocious litany of injuries. Right shoulder surgery, right knee surgery, left knee surgery twice, hamstring surgery, and 5 or 6 drainage procedures after the hamstring surgery. During his first 4 years with the Reds, he played in 58% of the team's games. In 2002, he played in 70 games, almost all of them with a torn patella in his right knee. In 2003, he dislocated his right shoulder and then ruptured an ankle tendon rounding first on a double and had to miss the rest of the season. In 2004, he tore a hamstring making a diving catch and missed the rest of the season. When it rains, it pours. There were murmurs about his work ethic. He pulled his hamstring in 2001 during spring training, and many wondered why he didn't stretch before games. His response? Does a cheetah stretch before chasing its prey? But he won the Comeback Player of the Year award in 2005 by crushing 35 homers and driving in 92. He hit another 30 in 2007. By then, the team had moved him to right, and fans were voicing displeasure with his infrequent play and the fact that the Reds were finishing sub 500 every year of Griffey's tenure. He was traded to the White Sox in 2008, which he could have vetoed but didn't, because the Sox were heading to the postseason, where they got swept by the Rays. He signed with the M's as a free agent in 2009, but by 2010, he was done. In June, he literally packed up and drove across country to Orlando. He finished with baseball at the age of 40. But before he left, he gave baseball and America one last gift: Jackie Robinson Day. It was Griffey's idea to wear 42 on the day Jackie broke the color barrier, which has now grown on to become a cherished April ritual. During his first year on the Hall of Fame ballot in 2016, Griffey got 99.3% of the vote, which at the time was the highest percentage in history. That alone should tell you how good Junior was. But beyond the Hall, what Griffey did was remain true to himself. He didn't jeopardize his health and set a bad example for kids by using substances that can cause long-term damage. He played with joy, with an enthusiasm that made even casual fans take notice. He was the person McGwire, Bonds, Sosa, and others pretended to be. If you want to take a look at another brilliant career that has also been plagued by injuries, take a look at this video right here on Mike Trout.